Hey, how are ya? My name's Caboose, and I figured I would show you how I make these missions that I make for Halo 3 New Covenant campaign. I'll just show you like the whole process I do start to finish. So if you want to make something like this, maybe not quite ridiculous, but maybe a bit simpler, or if you just want to go all out and have heaps of time on your hands, more than me, then yeah, this is how I do it anyway, which is, probably not the right way to do it, but it's the way that I've made this. So I might as well just show you how I do it. So first things first, you're not going to have any of this. So you need a story or a script or something to go off of. Some kind of idea from mission or, campaign or whatever you want to do. So I've got up here couple of my mission scripts. So I figure I'll show you this latest mission. So you can see here, I have a script. It's like 9 pages. This one had quite a bit of dialogue in it. And you can see here I've got a list of characters which are in it, as well as some like random kind of like enigmas and stuff about the character. And maybe what weapon they were holding, which I changed anyway, I think, later. And then the X's are just, hey, if I've got a voice actor assigned. So now that the mission is out, obviously I had assigned everyone to it. So got a story roughly written out. I don't write all of this like perfectly. Usually I'll do a really rough draft, like overall what I want each part of the mission to be first. And then I go into more cinematics, because I do cinematics outside of Engine, inside Blender. But even if you are doing them inside of the engine, you still probably want to plan out what your cinematics are going to look like. So I do them pretty in detail. So like shot 1, so this is like a shot, between switching cameras pretty much. So view towards Research Station, behind 4 on a ship, 3 pelicans fly into view from behind. So just overviews, just to remind myself, because I'll forget like after I've written it down, or when I come back in like 2 days time and I'm like, what the heck is this story? So then I can read it and be like, oh, that's what I made. No, okay, I know what I'm doing now. So pretty much to do that, you can see I've just got like the intro cinematic was really short for this mission. There's definitely more than 5 shots. So I kind of split these into more than just 5. But then I've got the actual mission where you can see I've got all the dialogue written out, and this is where I go into more detail. So let's say you do all of that and you do all of your dialogue, and then you've got your outro cinematic. That one had a lot more shots. I had 31 planned. I think I had over 45, nearly 50 shots in the final like cinematic, because I added some stuff. And so yeah, once you've got that, that's kind of your first step. Obviously you want to know what your mission or whatever's going to be about. So then I get into planning and modeling. So you can see here I've pulled up like a really early revision of the outside of the mission, the outside segment. You can see it's horribly unorganized. I started this off with literally just a flat plane, and then I just like sculpt it. And so I'll just go into sculpt mode and just like start throwing stuff around. I will have, if you're wanting to do this, then make sure you have Dino Topo on, because it makes it way quicker. But it also means that it re-topologizes your mesh, which means you might get more detail than you want. But yeah, that's how pretty much I made all this. You can see like the Dino topology or whatever it is, because I went in closer here, like added way more detail. So there's like way too much detail here at the moment. You'll see the final product and it's a lot simpler. But for like an overall, first pass of just getting detail in, it works pretty well. Probably it's like the wrong way to do it, because you should do it all like by hand, but that just would take way too long and I can't be stuffed. So I didn't do that. And so pretty much I get my landscape, my really rough landscape out. And at the same time, I'm looking at other missions which I extract from the Halo mod tools. I'll extract like some of the Halo 3 missions, like the actual missions, so that they look like this in Blender, what like Bungie used. And I'll just look through and be like, hey, what could be useful? So you can see here, like these bits here. This is actually from the Citadel mission. I was like, cool, that'll work. I just stole them and just kind of plugged them in. Like this part here is from the Ark at the start of the mission. And so I just kind of plonked them in here. Because if I did everything by hand, it would just take years, and I don't have that patience or time. And so I kind of take what I can from the missions without it just being too copy and paste, although, you know, some of it straight up is. Especially my first mission, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I just copied and pasted a whole bunch of stuff from Halo 2. But now I'm doing some more like custom stuff, more and more as I'm getting quicker at it. So yeah, rough landscape, start populating with some bits and pieces, and then you'll kind of, end up, this is like my final product. This is what I ended up with. So I've got way more trees, rocks. Little tips is with like, these are all separate from the actual like main mesh. They're their own like little instance geometry. You can see that because it has a little percentage sign here, saying that it's like its own thing. It's not a part of the main BSP, which is like the main area, like this whole selected part. So these are all that, and then also they're all linked as well. And so anything which is exactly the same, just different scale, is the same like actual thing. Like this tree and this tree is the same. This one was just scaled and rotated a bit. In fact, it's not even rotated. It's just scaled down. Lol. So that means that the engine only has to read it once, like geometry wise, like all of the vertex count and stuff, because there's 742 vertexes. And you have a limit of how much you have per BSP, which is like this whole section is one BSP. And so then it only has to read it once, and then you can just copy and paste it pretty much as many times as you want. There's like a limit of like 1,000, and I only have like 12. So I could have done more, but it just makes the level bigger and line mapping slower, and just, you know, couldn't be bothered. So it takes long enough as it is. So yeah, just populating it with these little bits. You can see I've cleaned up my mesh a lot more. Pretty much just decimating certain segments to try and get lower poly, but still remain detail. So you can see here, I've got like a little bit more detail here, but less here, because I needed it here for this sharper edge. And then like over here, it's like really low quality, because I didn't really need this bit to be really good. So yeah, kind of work on that. You can see over here, I've got all of my BSPs. So all of the entire mission is in this one Blender file. And so if I go BSP2, which is underneath here, and scroll up so I can go faster. So you can see this is, this whole section here is another BSP by itself. And BSPs have to be joined with seams. And seams are a nightmare. Everyone hates them for a reason. I especially hate them. They're very necessary and they're awesome, but they're also a huge pain to set up. You would need there's a whole guide on how to do it, which is better than me just talking about it. So you can see here, I've pretty much taken just a whole bunch of bits and pieces from different Halo 3 missions, populated them around, you know, made sure they're all linked. Whoops. Are they? Oh, this is probably before. Wait. Oh, maybe they're not linked. Lol. I don't know. Maybe it's broken. But yeah, just populating around. Is this one? Okay, I stuffed something up. Like some of it, you can see this is like a bit of like Halo 2 level geometry. I've kind of like zombied it together. I think this part, this whole section here was a piece of Halo 2. And I actually turned it upside down. So this used to be all on the ceiling. And I was just like, oh, what happens if I turn it upside down? So, you know, your creativity is your limit, I guess. And so I've got 6 BSPs. Yeah, in this mission. So then I've got this upper level part. I've got the other half to the outside, which is all of this. This is BSP 3, which I did. And then BSP 6 is my like flood maze part. Oh, 6 and 4. So I ended up splitting it in half. This was fun. This was all customly sculpted, all of this. Like all of this part and this part. I just kind of stretched it out. Did make UV mapping, like unwrapping this sucked, and it looks pretty average still, even after release. But it was a nightmare to do, and so I just did what I could. This part was quite fun. I made all of these guys. You can do something called bridging, which is where you pretty much just delete like those two vertices and like those two, and then just select bridge, and that like makes all this geometry like across here. So that was they're pretty easy to make actually, which was cool. Again, just pretty much stealing everything from the Cortana level and just shoving it in here. And same with this. And so this is the Grave Mine lair where you fight the boss, spoiler. Yeah, and so that's design of the level. Obviously this takes forever to do when you kind of do it in stages. Like you get a rough stage out and then you add some more detail and then you play it and you're like, oh, this really doesn't have enough detail, so then you add way more detail. And there's the whole thing about making it pathfindable, because you have to have everything non-manifold, which means it can't have any gaps or holes in the mesh, otherwise AI don't move and aren't able to traverse around it. So there's a whole bunch of things that you need to get right before it'll work in Engine. But after that, then you can actually import it and get it into Engine. So then you kind of get it like this, but it won't look like this. It will look like this if I go default lighting. Because you won't have any nice light maps or anything, because you need to generate them after, and they take forever to generate. So it'll look really bland and just like open. Whoa. So this is kind of what you start off with, and that's where you can now start to populate it with like if you're looking at more what's it called, like level design still. That's where I kind of start to do like more like decals and stuff. So you can see like I've got lots of decals everywhere, just of like goop and stuff and blood kind of everywhere with this. Lots of flood goop to try and like blend in the geometry with the walls. And like adding crates. Let's see. So I added a whole bunch of crates, like these dangling wires, and I added a light on the end just to make it more atmospheric. You can see the lights kind of in their glory more, like down here. Have a lot more. Now if I turn the lighting back on, and you can see they actually cast shadows and stuff. So you can make some lights, depending on what you do with them, you can make them cast shadows as well. I'm sure the engine absolutely loves this, because it doesn't... Usually these kind of lights are like saved for cinematics and I'm just blasting them, but I mean, it doesn't crash, so I'll do what I can. And so yeah, then you continue just doing more tweaks. You'll be doing tweaks forever. Adding separate things like a new weapon or something. Ah, yes, classic. You can see that my... Awesome. That's because I'm as chief now. Because I was rebuilding my second mission. That's why it's all broken. That makes sense. But yeah, I've got my custom little Forerunner ancient weapon pistol thing here, which I had to... I kind of zombied it together with different guns parts and then just modeled the back half. And some of the inner stuff myself. And then I also made custom enemies, the flood enemies, which I slightly just tweaked, and like the brute one. Let's see, I'll just spawn in one of them. Folders are your friend. Please make folders, otherwise it gets really messy really quick. So you can see here I've got like these guys, and I actually shoot stuff out of their face, and I've got a nice hole in their body. These are the combat, like the normal marine combat forms. I just kind of messed them up, re-UV'd them, and made them all like more of a combat form, well, like a pure form. And then same with these guys. These were the brute forms, and I kind of just took away the brute parts and made them like a normal flood kind of enemy. And then I also made this guy. So this is a flood, a sentinel protector, I call it. So it's basically like a normal little protector, but it's got these huge, like extra wing parts. So it doesn't just have the back ones, it has these bigger ones and underneath ones, as well as this big random body part which I modeled on it. So yeah, I'm really happy with how these guys came out. And when you fight them, they actually do this bigger electric arc thing, and they give nearby enemies or allies to this, whatever this guy is, shields, kind of like the engineer in ODST. So it's kind of fun, and it's got like a normal like monitor beam laser on the front, and then like a normal sentinel beam down there as well. And they've got a whole bunch of health, and now he's just running into walls. Great. So we'll get rid of him. I made a whole bunch of different device machines as well, which are like elevators and stuff. So like this one here, this was a container shield or like tube holding in the bypass unit, and so you have to activate it, and then it like slides up into this thing here, and that's controlled via a control group. So if I go devices, machines, you've got so you can see I've got the gondolas, there's like a lift, storage lift, doors, and then I've got shield tube as well, which is this one here. And it's controlled by these controls. So if I go shield open, and I make it automatic, and then I can open it up with this button. And I've attached that opening sound to the actual animation, so it actually plays on like frame 1, it starts that sound. So that's inside of Gorilla, which is where you do everything else in the background. So you can do bits like pieces like that. So you can see I've also got this old Halo 2. I just kind of ripped this from one of the Halo 2 levels, can't remember what one it's called, and just added these pillars for more cover, pretty much. Otherwise you would die very easily in this area. So yeah, let's say you designed all your level, you got all that, it all looks alright. I'm really happy with how like this part all turned out. Setting atmosphere is a whole nother thing as well, which is a nightmare. Worth it because it looks really nice, but it sucks to set up properly. But you eventually get there. And so, what else can I show you? Oh, well there you have to set up with your AI. So if I go like this section here, for example, no, let's go back out because it's too dark. Some people probably can't see anything. I'll go like in here or something. Actually, I'll go into here. So when you set up squads, you've got all of your... I've got my areas, so this is the archive, and I've got these squads. And so I've got these random squads as well, which would continually respawn, like randomly, while you were running around trying to unlock all the pins. So you can see you've got these guys here, and these guys walk on these zones. So I've got these firing zones, which are, some of them are disappeared. Sometimes I just don't show. which is awesome. But you can see all my different zones, and these are like where certain AI can be. So like the sentinels and stuff, like these purple ones, I only let the protector sentinel, the really big one, fly these, but these lower ones I let the normal sentinels, and then the rest are just a flood. And you can determine like where certain AI can go. Then once you're done with that, then you've got like smaller details, like your like I said, your atmosphere, which is like your fog level. You've got your, where is it? Get your sound scenery, which is quite a bit. This is like when you go near something, you can hear that. All these like little different details of like sound around different things. So you can see like I've got lots of flood noises on this one. The sound scenery is kind of a mess on this mission, because there's just so much of it. But it makes it like, it's just one of those small details that really make it feel a bit more like a legit mission. Alright, so now, let's say your mission's all done, you're good. You know, you've spent like 6 months doing all of that. Then I'll talk you into the... Well, I'll talk you into the cinematics. Yeah, I'll show you the cinematics. So I also make my cinematics in Blender instead of in the actual mission part. So you can see here I have like a couple of the shots. I layer all my shots for like that section of the cinematic in one blend file. So you see like this is when Arbiter shoots. And I'll do this, this guy I did with a cloth simulation. I just made him like a really rigid piece of cloth and just like threw him on the floor. Well, actually like I threw a circular ball at his head. So you can kind of see it like indent. I just threw it at him really hard. But this is, yeah, obviously what I do in my cinematics. You can probably hear my computer ramping up now, especially now that I'm going to render view. Well, I do my lighting, I do my upscaling for my textures, some retexturing and stuff where I need. So there's quite a bit going on with this. But I've done all of them. Let's say, you know, you've done all your cinematics. Then I go over to sound. So I have a lot of dialogue in this mission, quite a lot. So you can see these are all my different characters. And if I expand it, you can see like there's way more lines. So for example, I have like my grave mind here. Let's see how loud this is. So for example, I've got this line here. Offers of mercy, and abused. And each line of this grave mind stuff is actually 3 like layers as well, 3 tracks. So I've got the bass one here. Offers of mercy. And I've also got offers of mercy. Just to make it a bit creepy. And then also this one. Which is this line backwards, but said like this. Well, it's said normal. So it's the line said forward in like a weird Arbiter-like voice. And then I reverse it. And then I kind of just merge them all together. Offers of mercy. Obviously it doesn't sound like that straight after I've recorded it. It actually sounds like this. Offers of mercy. Which sounds really bad. And so I've got this like morph effect on it. So I got a morph folder and like a H delay. These are paid for, sorry. I happen to be a sound engineer as well, so I just have these anyway at my disposal.
Offers of mercy.
So that adds like a creepy delay on the end of it. And then with the actual normal Gravemind effect, I've got a normal compressor just to make it a bit louder. Then a really hard limiter.
Offers of mercy.
Because I wanted it to sound like it's in your head. So I wanted it super like intense. And then this is where the real bread and butter is for the Gravemind. It's just like ultra pitch. So it like copies the channel pretty much and like splits it and adds different delays and pans it.
Offers of mercy.
Really makes it sound like it's inside your head. And then I just added another delay and limited it a bit more.
Offers of mercy.
That's how I did the Gravemind. And the other one which is pretty interesting is the monitor. I think I got pretty close to how Bungie did it. So for example,
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hallway.
so go, shout out to Zarmation Studios, who voices Monitor, does an awesome job. You can see I've got quite a bit going on with this guy. So I've got just a high pass filter. That's pretty standard. Just so there's no bass frequencies. You don't really want any dialogue unless you really want it, like the Gravemind. Compressing it, like pretty standard. Getting rid of some of the S's, a de-esser. So if I go sidechain, just some of the it just gets rid of that, which I didn't really like. This is one of the big parts, so using those Mondo mods, which is a plugin from Waves.
Arbiter, take a...
And so without, if I bypass these,
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hallway.
sounds really like kind of just normal, like a person, because it is. But if I add these back in,
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hall.
it's kind of like shifting his phase and stuff. So I kind of stacked a couple of them doing different things. So this one's a lot more like did.
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and...
So it kind of sounds like almost auto-tune. And then I've got a flanger.
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hallway.
So if I make this like really fast, or I just make it
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hallway.
so you can hear it's like really.
Arbiter, take a left turn up ahead and move down the hallway.
You can make it super intense. I just wanted it to be like kind of in the background, and then just another bit of EQ, just to make it a bit more punchy. That looks usually you wouldn't do that, but you know, it sounded good, so I did it anyway. But yeah, so I have to do that for every single character, pretty much. And then it comes to like sound effects and stuff. So you can see the Protector Sentinel, the custom Sentinel I made all the sounds custom for that. So like this sound, which is like its idle animation. I did that with a synth. I actually did it with this synth here. So you can see here I've got this like contour through complete Native Instruments who makes this. Again, not free, sorry. But I make them through these synths. Make different ones. I don't think I use this one, but I was playing around with them. And then, so when the Protector Sentinel, it like does its like big shield generating thing, it does this sound effect. So I made that up with a kind of zombifying a bunch of Halo 3 sounds together. So if I actually mute this stuff, so you can see that's just like a bunch of, I've actually got the ghost before it explodes sound in there. I've got a scarab. And I've just got like a huge pitch shift on it, which is automated. So yeah, just kind of like blending a bunch of stuff together. I did the same thing for the Forerunner pistol, the ancient weapon. So just like, I think this is like a shotgun sound effect, a whole bunch of Spartan laser bits and pieces. You know, there's a bit of Goss rifle in there. And then a couple of little synth sounds. That was just got a kick in there, just to add some punch. And then the cooldown when it takes the shields. Which again, it's just Spartan laser. Stuff just kind of like merged in and like slowed down, changed around. Just playing around. And then audio, while we're on audio still, I'll show you this is the audio SFX for hijacked outro. Because this one has a bit going on. So I have all of these tracks. I've got all my dialogue and then all my sound, like sound effects, footsteps, like engine stuff. So this is the outro. So if I play some of this. So yeah, and then there's like footsteps and stuff, like armor movement. And then I do music separately, and then just kind of overlay that. And yeah, that's pretty much done. And then there's just lots of testing that you need to do. Oh yeah, well once you're done with this, you also need to do scripting as well if you want to do like a solo mission. This isn't applicable for multiplayer, but if you want to do like a solo like campaign mission, you have to do scripting to actually script it. And so here you can see like this is my main mission script, and a whole bunch of like teleporting and stuff so that people don't fall behind, and my random script stuff. And then it's just pretty much like a bunch of stuff like, hey, when this person reaches this point or switches this switch, do this, and just progresses through the level. And then I've got 3 separate ones for mission 3. I have the main one, I have a command script one, which is for like, hey, this character is going to do all of this stuff. This is a horrible way to do it, but it's the way I do it. It does mean that it can break more than like a Bungie one. Bungie one would be split up into like you know, this whole script would be like 5 different command scripts, but I could not be bothered doing that. So this is what I do with that, where they walk around to certain points and look at each other and then look at the player. And then I've also got this one, which is all the dialogue. And so it's be like, hey, wait until my global dialogue is set to 6, which I do in another script. All right, then play this line. What is this? So yeah, that's what I do with that. Which takes a while. I do all my importing through Soyos. That's where you import, that's where you light. That's like where you import anything from Blender or import sounds or models or anything. All into here. And then you've pretty much got a working mission, you know. Got my custom, I just ripped it out of Halo 3 and then kind of really lazily destroyed it and bent it up. Custom sky, which you know, taking a lot of stuff from Halo 3 and ODST, and then making it work for your mod will save you a whole bunch of time. That's probably the #1 piece of advice, is use something else wherever you can. But yeah, awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed this random walkabout into how I make my missions. And I'll see you in mission 4, hopefully. Hey. Alright, catch ya.